That nickel if you know what I know, you know, I know, you know. Yeah, I know, you know, I know, you know.
Well, a pleasant good morning and welcome to King's News Broom. 45 minutes of the most compelling news from Liberia and other parts of the world. Stories topping the news this morning. Independent National Commission on Human Rights predicts potential collapse in government performance due to split in the implementation of national agenda. INCHR chairperson Councillor Dempster Brown says officials of government are seeking their personal interest. Residents of 72nd discovered dead bodies of an underage boy severely tied and wrapped in black plastic bag. Dumb alone, the police are killing Mipinzo route as the Liberia National Police preliminary investigation predicts or indicates cuts around the neck and other body parts. CDC National Chairman warns government against persecution and arbitrary arrest of CDC officials and members over alleged Capitol building arson investigation. Janka Cove vows to resist attempt relative to the arrest of embattled House Speaker Funati Kofa and others. And away from Liberia, 3 Americans convicted for their role in a failed coup in the Democratic Republic of Congo last year have had their death sentences commuted to life imprisonment, the presidency has said. The former president of Costa Rica, Oscar Arias, says his U.S. visa has been revoked. The headlines, the bulletin of news, the voices of the newsmaker, and other development are all packaged in this early morning edition of King's News Broom. But a very short break. To be right back. Thanks so much for joining us on the news program. The Independent National Commission on Human Rights chairperson has attributed the low performance of the Bwaka Kong administration to split in the implementation of the arrest agenda. Speaking Wednesday at the headquarters of the INCHR, Councillor Dempster Brown said some officials of the UP regime are seeking their personal interest despite a clearly written agenda of the government. Councillor Brown noted that the INCHR chairperson warned. Councillor Brown noted that several appointees in the current regime have also and continues to show little support, thereby undermining productivities. The INCHR chairperson warned that there will be a potential collapse of the government in performance if President Bwaka fails to relieve non-productive officials of their post. Opposition Congress for Democratic Change chairperson or chairman, Councillor Anthony Janga Cole, has warned the government to desist from all attempts relating to the arrest of any official or members of the party on alleged Capitol building arson case investigation. Speaking on Bernard FM Wednesday, Cole noted that any attempt to arrest embattled House Speaker Councillor Funati Kofa and other members of the CDC will be greeted stiff resistance. He also said the CDC as a party would not allow any of its members to be arrested by the government. Janga Cole further challenged the government to focus on maintaining peace and stability across Liberia rather than going after peaceful citizens. He at the same time term has politically motivated the investigation of the Capitol building arson case, stating that opposition figures are being targeted for no reason, describing the investigation as bias. On Wednesday, the body of an unidentified boy was discovered wrapped in plastic bags and dumped at a dump site along the Police Academy Community Road in Painesville. The terrifying discovery of the minor's body has sparked intense fears among residents and other persons who followed the incident through social media live videos. The body was seen wrapped in multiple layers of clothing and black plastic. Following the discovery of the body, officers of the Liberia National Police later arrived on the scene, examined the remains, and reported blood stains around the neck and other parts of the body. However, the remains were taken away by officers of the Liberia National Police for further investigation into the circumstances surrounding the minor's death. Residents of 72nd and other areas have expressed dismay over the incident and urged the state security officer to speedily launch an impartial investigation into the matters. Mysterious deaths and disappearances have been on the increase in different parts of Liberia, with little or nothing done by state securities to put in proper measures that will remedy the situation. The Coalition of Civil Society Organizations for Accountability and Transparency says it wants an audit of the Grand Kitman County Council over what it described as lack of accountability and corruption in the management of funds. Chairman of the coalition, Victor Ballot, said the establishment of the county council is not yielding the needed results because most of the members have refused to make reports on how they are using funds allotted to the county. Ballot also encouraged the Ministry of Internal Affairs and the Grand Kitman County Legislative Caucus to intervene and ensure that the right things are done. The Coalition of Civil Society Organizations for Accountability and Transparency further threatened to lead a protest at the Capitol building if the Grand Kitman Legislative Caucus and Internal Affairs failed to intervene in the matter. A members of the ruling Unity Party Alliance, Democratic People's Party of Liberia, has called for immediate resignation of President Joseph Boakai due to what the party described as bad governance of the state. Speaking in an interview Wednesday, DPPL political leader Reverend David Cameron expressed total disappointment in President Boakai, noting that 80-year-old president has surrounded himself with large numbers of corrupt individuals. According to him, the sole objective of the Boakai-led government official is to steal and exploit Liberians. The DPPL political leader also accused Boakai of failing miserably on all his campaign promises, adding that the government is doing worse than the previous administration led by George Weah. He described President Boakai as lazy and weak in governance, noting that he should be ready to step aside due to his alleged lack of technical know-how on governance. The Monrovia City Court on Wednesday transferred a case involving Liberia Football Association and 4 students from the University of Liberia to Criminal Court A due to lack of jurisdiction. Judge Ben Bagon ruled that aggravated assault is among the student charges and is a second-degree felony. As such, it is above the ministerial court authority. The 4 U.S. students are Stephen Brown, Momo Botel, Christian Bryant, and Obadiah Jalad. They were forwarded to court on multiple offenses ranging from aggravated assault, criminal conspiracy, physical obstruction of government functions, criminal mischief, and recklessly endangering other person. The arrest was as a result of a protest at the Liberia Football Association headquarters, where some LFA employees got injured. They are demanding the exit of LFA President Mustafa Rajid on grounds that he is not a Liberian citizen. Sam Walubat, the man accused of impersonating as a doctor, has been charged with manslaughter and sent to the Painesville City Magistrate Court for trial. On March 19, Walubat was accused of performing surgery on Samuel Colley at the Lofat Medical Clinic in the Nizo community, which resulted in the patient's death. Meanwhile, the Liberia Medical and Dental Council has since confirmed that Walubat is not a licensed surgeon and the clinic is not accredited to perform surgeries. The accused is currently in custody, awaiting trial for his alleged action. The Liberia Drugs Enforcement Agency has arrested an alleged notorious drugs dealer with 572 wraps of coach value at over 2 million Liberian dollars. According to an LDA release, Wednesday, the accused, Tony Baird, was arrested at the Center Street Graveyard in central Monrovia on March 31 following reports of drugs activities in the area. The LDA noted that the accused is a leader of a notorious gang known as DOC and had been engaged in sales of distribution of narcotic substances. The Liberian Anti-Drugs Agency revealed that following the arrest of the alleged drugs dealer, officers attempted to transport him to the LDA station, but he resisted, a situation they said led to his followers stoning the LDA vehicles, those resulting in damage to the vehicles. However, it added that despite Baird resisting, he was charged and forwarded to court awaiting trial. The Liberia Airport Authority has attributed a recent power outage at the Rabat International Airport to a strike from a group of birds feeding from nearby dump site on an LEC transformer. Appearing before the Senate Joint Committee on Energy and Transport on Wednesday, LAA officials said the birds have been regularly pinching on the airport transformer, which resulted in significant disruption to the power supply on Sunday. The Liberia Airport Authority has also indicated that there was inadequate equipment at the airport to resolve the situation. They acknowledged that the situation did not only affect the airport's operation, but also pose serious safety concern for travelers and staff. The airport authority further stated that they have put in place potential measures to mitigate the impact of wildlife on airport infrastructure. Also, for his part, the acting deputy managing director for operation of the Liberia Electricity Corporation, Thomas Gongawan, assured the Senate that the LEC will provide a standby transformer to address the electricity situation at the airport. He further called for a revision of the internal configuration of the automatic supply lines at the airport. The Vatican Ambassador Walter Ebig and Francesco Diando, Secretary and Deputy Head of Mission, Wednesday held talks with former Liberian President George Weah at his private office. The discussion centers on various important issues of Liberian development. The former Liberian president also embodied peace and stability, continues to receive high-profile international and regional diplomats on the future of Liberia peace, stability, and development. The Liberian government, through the Liberia Telecommunication Authority and Cable Consortiums of Liberia, has begun repair works and deflecting of the only fiber optic cable that transmits internet data to Liberia. According to LTE authorities, the repair and rerouting of the Africa coast to Europe submarine cable is a result of the construction of the portion of the PHP park which directly falls on the landing site of the fiber cable in Liberia. CCL CEO Henry Benson told reporters that before the construction of the park, his institution communicated with the previous government, informing it about the potential damage that the construction could have caused to Liberia only fiber cable that transmit internet. Benson also said during the construction, heavy weight of rocks were buried directly where the cable landed, causing the cable to submerge. He disclosed that leaders of the African coast to European submarine cable have warned that if nothing is done urgently, Liberia could be completely cut off. Benson informed reporters that following the arrival of the ship, Liberia could experience intermittent disruption of the internet service for a few days. Also speaking, LT8 acting chairman Abdullah Kamara said the Liberian Telecommunication Authority is posed to do everything possible to ensure that internet access is available during that period. The RCE submarine cable landed in Liberia for the first time on November 3, 2011, during the presidency of Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, marking a significant step towards improved internet access and economic development for the country. A pro-democracy group NGO coalition of Liberia is demanding the government to provide updates on measures taken to assess and regulate the influx of Burkinabes and Ivorian nationals in Liberia. The group, through its national facilitator, Michelle Brown, raised concern over the huge presence of these illegal migrants engaged allegedly in cocoa farming and illicit mining activities. He added that a surge in immigration is causing widespread deforestation and escalating land conflicts within the region. Reports from Eastern region point to alleged clashes between these illegal migrants and the local communities. The national facilitators of the group, Michelle Brown, asserted that the primary forests, which are essential for biodiversity and the livelihood of the local communities, are being destroyed by these Burkinabes and Ivorian migrants for cocoa farm and mining operation. He made a disclosure during a press conference held on Wednesday, April 2, 2025, at the institution headquarters along the RIA Highway. The NGO coalition, among other things, noted that the situation not only threatens Liberia's environmental integrity, but also undermines the rights of indigenous species in the local communities. And away from Liberia now, 3 Americans convicted for their role in a failed coup in Democratic Republic of Congo last year have had their death sentences commuted to life imprisonment, the presidency has said. They were among 37 people sentenced to death last September by a military court. The 3 were accused of leading an attack on both the presidential palace and the home of an ally of President Felix Tshisekedi last May. The overturning of the sentences comes ahead of a visit to DR Congo by the newly appointed U.S. Senior Advisor for Africa, Masad Bolos. The former president of Costa Rica, Oscar Arias, says his U.S. visa has been revoked. Arias, the Nobel laureate, said he was informed of the decision weeks after he had publicly criticized Donald Trump, comparing the behavior of the U.S. president to that of a Roman emperor. That's the 84 years old who was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize for his role in brokering an end to conflicts in the Central Americas, said U.S. authorities had given no explanation. Arias hinted, however, that it may be due to his rapid approachment with China during the time he was president from 2006 to 2010. Thanks so much for rejoining us on the news program. Indeed, if you are just joining us, as a reminder that you are in tune to King's News Broom, 45 minutes of the most compelling news from Liberia and other parts of the world. Stories topping the news this morning Independent National Commissions on Human Rights predicts potential collapse in government performance due to split in the implementation of a national agenda. INCHR chairperson, Councillor Dempster Brown, says officials of government are their personal seeking their personal interest. Residents of 72nd discovered dead bodies of an underage boy severely tied and wrapped in black plastic bag, dumped along the police academy Pinsville Road as the Liberia National Police preliminary investigation indicates cuts around the neck and other body parts. CDC National Chairman warns government against persecution and arbitrary arrest of CDC officials and members over alleged Capitol building arson investigation. Janga Cole vowed to resist attempt relative to the arrest of Embattled House Speaker Funanti Kofa and others. Away from Liberia, 3 Americans convicted for their role in a failed coup in Democratic Republic of Congo last year have had their death sentences commuted to life imprisonment, the presidency has said. The former president of Costa Rica, Oscar Arias, says his U.S. visa has been revoked. We are taking another break to return, this time with the voices of the newsmaker. Thanks so much for joining us. The Independent National Commission on Human Rights, the Independent Commission on Human Rights chairperson has attributed the low performance of the Bouaka Koun administration to split in the implementation of the arrest agenda. Councillor Brown noted that several appointees in the current regime have also and continues to show little support, thereby undermining productivities. The INCHR chairperson warned that there will be a potential collapse of the government in performance if President Bouaka fails to relieve non-productive officials of their post. Here now is Councillor Dempster Brown.
Then we want to make it clear that this government has 2 groups of people. The president agenda is quite different from the agenda of people that are around him. The president's agenda is to develop this country, but the people around him agenda is to get rich. So they do their own thing that will make them to get money. This is the problem that President Bouaka is facing. And we have to make it clear that all those who are charged with the responsibility to perform their statutory duty that are not performing, President Bouaka should get them out, or else his legacy will destroy. He will not have a good legacy. Forget about friendship, forget about, alliances. Those who are not performing should get out of the government. And so we are concerned about these things, and we call it on the president that we all, I can remember when we were executive marshal at the time, to sign a performance contract. And the president made it clear to all of us, the heads of the institutional commission, that you should perform effectively, and we sign. Why is it we sign and people are not performing? Those who are not performing, the president should get them out. That's our concern. If you are not performing to the expectation of your term of reference, you got no business being in the government. The president should not listen to people who made our recommendation, get them out. And so the Human Rights Commission is not enemy to the government. We are performing our statutory responsibility for the government to know actually what is happening in the Liberian society.
He's the INCHR boss, Anthony, Councillor Dempster Brown, there speaking. Opposition Congress for Democratic Change Chairman Anthony Janga Cole has warned the government to desist from all attempt relating to the arrest of any official or members of the party on alleged Capitol building arson case investigation. Speaking on Bernard FM Wednesday, Cole noted that any attempt to arrest Embattled House Speaker Councillor Funanti Kofa and other members of the CDC will be greeted stiff resistance.
We don't see any probable cause for them to try to indict or arrest him. But again, if the government is trying to take the fight against, is trying to extend the violation of the Constitution and the rule of law to that extent of trying to arrest Kofa and others in the stores of the CDC, we are waiting for that day. And we have told the government, the stability of the country is in your hands. We have given you an opportunity to govern the country. You are failing on governing the country. You are focused on trivialities. You're focused on trivialities. Why the investigation that took place about the Capitol fire? We think that investigation was one-sided investigation. So who was in charge of the security of the Capitol building on the night of the foreign fire investigators? We know that they didn't interview anybody from the majority black. So they find that you have contentious, parties, opposing parties at the Capitol building. Elementary professional judgment will tell you that, even it's just on formality, they didn't interview anybody from the majority black. Okay. So they find that you have contentious, parties, opposing parties at the Capitol building. Elementary professional judgment will tell you that, even it's just on formality, you should have brought the two sides in. But the fact that you focus on only one side of the conflict, it's a clear indication that the investigation is already prejudiced. The investigation is already, unbalanced. Because they should invited, because there's information that other people from the majority black were in the vicinity of the Capitol building, and now the chairs were removed from the joint chambers. The police have not come to give any explanation as to how those chairs were removed. Okay, the police was in physical custody of the Capitol building for several days, extended period, because they have been deploying armed police at the Capitol building. And so one of the critical infrastructure the police who have been protecting who have been the joint chambers. The police have not even given its own role. We have not heard from the police on its role. The public deserves that people deserve to understand what's really happening. Why were the police on duty? They didn't tell if there was no police on duty. They didn't say, there was no police on duty. But they are very silent. They are not called anybody from the majority black to even interview them. So it's an investigation. I would think it's a flushed investigation. It's an investigation of the government trying to use the police to do political intimidation, trying to intimidate the opponents of the majority bloc to.
He's the Opposition Congress for Democratic Change chairman, Anthony Janga Cole. They're speaking when he appears on Banana FM on Wednesday. The Coalition of Civil Society Organizations for Accountability and Transparency says it wants an audit of the Grand Kitman County Council over what it described as lack of accountability and corruption in the management of funds. Ballot also encouraged the Ministry of Internal Affairs and the Grand Kitman County Legislative Caucus to intervene and ensure that the right things are done. Now, it's Victor Ballot.
We don't see any probable cause for them to try to indict or arrest him. But again, if the government is trying to take the fight against, is trying to extend.
It is indeed mind-boggling to let you know that Grand Kitman County has a county council managed by individuals who are as well recipients of funds for their respective organizations. In this kind of a situation, where is the transparency? Where is the accountability here? Who is responsible to report to who in this kind of setup? If this is not conflict of interest, then it is for what? We have written the legislative caucus of Grand Kitman County since February 2025, so as to use its oversight responsibility to mandate the county council and the county administration to provide comprehensive financial updates and a turnover note from the previous administration to no avail. The laissez-faire style employed by our lawmakers made us to conclude that they are in total consent of the mismanagement of the county's funds. We wish to publicly call on the legislative caucus of Grand Kitman County, since we have used every diplomatic means by writing them to use their legislative oversight role to make the guys to account for what is happening in the county, and they have failed. We wish to call on them, the Minister of Internal Affairs as well, and the President of the Republic of Liberia, President Joseph Yuma Boakai, to take immediate and decisive action to address these issues so as to save Cape Town from money theft, beer suckers, and social vultures. Transparency and accountability must be prioritized so as to ensure that funds intended for the development of Great Cape County are utilized effectively and responsibly. On this note, we demand the following. One, that there be a comprehensive report published detailing allocations, disbursement, and utilization of the social and county development funds covering 2018 to 2024. Two, that individuals who are recipients of funds from the county cover must be removed from the county council, as keeping them there will show a total act of conflict of interest which breeds corruption. That there be a thorough audit conducted by an independent body to investigate the management of these funds and identify any discrepancies.
He is Victor Ballard. He is the chairman of the Coalition for Civil Society Organization for Accountability and Transparency that's speaking in Monrovia. We're halfway past the news time. Is a reminder that you are in tune to King's Newsroom, 45 minutes of the most compelling news from Liberia and other parts of the world. Stories topping the news this morning. Independent National Commission on Human Rights predicts potential collapse in government performance due to split in the implementation of national agenda. INCHR chairperson, Councillor Dempster Brown, says officials of government are seeking their personal interest. Residents of 72nd discovered dead bodies of an underage boy severely tied and wrapped in black plastic bag, dumped along the police academy Pinsdale Road. As the Liberian National Police preliminary investigation indicates cuts around the neck and other bodies part. CDC National Chairman warns government against persecution and arbitrary arrest of CDC officials and members over alleged Capitol building arson investigation. Janga Cole vows to resist attempt to relative to the arrest of embattled House Speaker Fonati Kofa and others. Away from Liberia, 3 Americans convicted for their role in a failed coup in the Democratic Republic of Congo last year have had their death sentences commuted to life imprisonment, the presidency has said. The former president of Costa Rica, Oscar Arias, says his U.S. visa has been revoked. We are taking another break. To return, we'll move development on the news program. Thanks so much for rejoining us. The Liberia Airport Authority has attributed the recent power outage at the Raffles International Airport to a crack from a group of birds feeding from nearby dump site on the LEC transformer. Appearing before the Senate Joint Committee on Energy and Transportation on Wednesday, LL8 officials said the birds have been regularly perching on the airport's transformer, which resulted in a significant disruption to the power supply on Sunday. Also, for his part, the acting deputy managing director for operation of the Liberia Electricity Corporation, Thomas Gongawa, assured the Senate that the LEC will provide a standby transformer or transform to address the electricity situation at at the airport.
This surge in migration is causing widespread deforestation, escalating land conflicts, and raising serious concerns about.
Our recommendations is that the internal configuration of the supply around the automatic transfer switch should be reviewed. There should be alternatives. There should be bypass connections such that if any of these happen, you can just switch over to the bypass and do the repairs. In addition to that, we, from our end of the LEC, we will be putting in also a standby transformer, which will also be connected into a bypass position and to provide alternatives if any of these things happen.
He's the acting deputy managing director for operation at the Liberia Electricity Corporation, Thomas Gongawa. The Liberia government, through the Liberia Telecommunication Authority and cable consortiums of Liberia, has begun repairs work and deflecting the only fiber optic cable that transmits that's internet data to Liberia. According to LTA Authority, the repairs and rerouting of the Africa Coast to Europe submarine cable is as a result of the construction of the portion of the PHP pack which directly falls on the landing site of the fiber cable in Liberia. CCL CEO Herman Benson told reporters that before the construction of the park, his institution communicated with the previous administration, informing it about the potential damage that the construction could have caused to Liberia owned fiber cables that transmit internet. Yet now is Herman Benson.
2011, there was a ship that was docked here on the beach, and about 3 kilometers in the ocean, the ship docked, and the cable was routed from there all the way to this location at this monument. Now, the problem we see here now is that you see all the huge tonnage of rocks. As the sea hit the rock pushes the cable down and the cable submerges. So we do have a huge problem here. The internet is sitting. We want to put a little bandage on the cable. At any point in time, this thing can cut. And when it does happen, the whole country is doomed. There's no internet. So the first docking system is here. From the Atlantic Ocean, this is where the dock is built. A dock meaning the space where the connection from the sea meets the connection from inland. So as you can see, a pretty good job was done on the infrastructure now. But our problem is this should not have been built here, period. Apparently there were some issues, but CCL was extremely vehement in making sure that this monument, this entire infrastructure is now built here. Now it is built. We don't want to break it down. We could have. Even asking, put a survey around. Do you want to maintain this or you want to maintain the internet? I bet you a lot of folks would say the internet.
He's CCL CEO Herman Benson. They're speaking to reporters in Monrovia. Also speaking, LTA acting chairman Abdullah Kamara said the Liberia Telecommunication Authority is poised to do everything possible to ensure that the internet access is available during that period.
Thank you, Forrest. So we all know that roughly about 12 years ago, Liberia got connected to the fiber optic internet service, and since then, I think we all have been enjoying pretty good service, and I think you people in the media, especially those online, can attest to that. But since last year, we have been experiencing various sorts of interruptions, and quite recently it was discovered that Liberia, particularly, we had a situation at hand with our connection to the rest of the world. And we know that I think a year or two ago, this beautiful park was built, and apparently during that process, there may have been some disruption of some of the cables coming in, based on the studies we have received. So in order not to wait till the service gets completed.
He's the acting LTA chairman, Abdullah Kamara. Earlier on was the voice of Herman Benson, the CEO of Cable Consortium of Liberia. A pro-democracy group NGO coalition of Liberia is demanding the government to provide updates on measures taken to assess and regulate the influx of Burkina bees and Ivorian nationals in Liberia. The group, through its national facilitator, Michelle Brown, raised concern over the huge presence of these illegal migrants engaged allegedly in cocoa farming and illicit mining activities. Year 9 is Michelle Brown.
This surge in migration is causing widespread deforestation, escalating land conflicts, and raising serious concerns about illegal immigration. Reports from affected communities indicate that primary forests, which are essential for biodiversity, carbon sequestration, and livelihood of local populations, are being rapidly destroyed to make ways for cocoa farms and mining operations. The unregulated expansion not only threatens Liberia's environmental integrity, but also undermines the rights of indigenous and local communities, leading to heartening tensions and land disputes. For example, the Global Crown National Park is now under serious threat due to varying interests from community members, which has strained the relationship between the management of the park and traditional people, most of whom are reportedly facilitating the influx of Burkinabe to cultivate their cocoa farms. Given these alarming developments, the NGO coalitions of Liberia demand answers from the government through this question. What measures has the government taken to assess and regulate the influx of foreign nationals engaged in land-intensive? What steps are being implemented to safeguard Liberia's primary forests and natural resources from destructions caused by illegal land acquisitions and unsanctioned agricultural expansion? How is the government ensuring that community land rights are respected and protected in the wake of escalating land disputes? What is the status of law enforcement interventions to address illegal immigrations and unauthorized activities by foreign nationals in the forest and mining sector? What steps has the government taken to investigate and address reports of violence, clashes, and alleged death resulting from these conflicts? How is government working with neighboring countries and regional bodies to prevent cross-border exploitations and unsanctioned settlements? The NGO Coalition of Liberia's on relevant government ministries and agencies, including the Forestry Development Authority, the Liberian Immigration Services, the Ministry of Justice, the Ministry of Internal Affairs, and the Environmental Protection Agency, to provide an urgent update to the Liberian public on the status of interventions addressing these matters.
He's Michelle Brown, the facilitator or national facilitator of the pro-democratic group NGO Coalition of Liberia. Members of the ruling Unity Party Alliance, Democratic People's Party of Liberia, has called for the immediate resignation of President Joseph Boakai due to what the party described as bad governance of the state. Speaking in an interview Wednesday, DPPL's political leader, Reverend David Cameron, expressed total disappointment in President Boakai, noting that the 80-year-old president has surrounded himself with large numbers of corrupt individuals.
With the experience that our president has and the level of delivery that we have put out in our first year, if you match the two, I'm not satisfied. This government is not even fighting corruption, and we still have those same corrupt people still turning around all here. This government hasn't done much. In fact, it got some of the corrupt people ever in the ranks of this government. The president is showing that he's a lazy old man, and it's about time for him to leave, to resign, because he's been too lazy. It's taking too long for us to correct the issues. It took you suspending some people before they even started declaring. It means the people don't even respect the president. A serious president needs to speak only once. We can't blame Grisby because he surrounds himself with Grisby, he surrounds himself with people. No. Those are lazy arguments.
He's the political leader of the People's Democratic Party of Liberia, Reverend David Cameron, speaking. Well, on that note, this is how we like to draw the curtains on this early morning edition of King's News Broom. But before we take a leave of you, stories we closely carry. Independent National Commission on Human Rights predicts potential collapse in government performance due to split in the implementation of national agenda. INCHR chairperson, Councillor Dempster Brown, says officials of government are seeking their personal interest. Residents of 72nd discovered dead body of an underage boy severely tied and wrapped in black plastic bag, dumped along the police academy Pinsville route. As the Liberia National Police preliminary investigation indicates, cuts around the neck and other body parts. CDC National Chairman warns government against persecution and arbitrary arrest of CDC officials and members over alleged Capitol building as an investigation. Janga Cole vows to resist attempts relative to the arrest of embattled House Speaker Funanti Kofa and others. And away from Liberia, 3 Americans convicted for their role in a failed coup in the Democratic Republic of Congo last year have had their death sentences commuted to life imprisonment. And that's life imprisonment, the presidency has said. The former president of Costa Rica, Oscar Arias, says his U.S. visa has been revoked. Well, many thanks to all of our correspondents, our reporters, contributors who help in making this early morning edition of King's News a success. On behalf of the entire news team here at Royal Multimedia Business Group, my name is Otis Sankan, I present it. Thanks so much for watching and listening. Good morning.